Soundwaves, why don't you kick us off with at least an introduction? We would love to learn more about you and how you got into the blockchain space.
Yeah, I'm an artist and a musician, but I love the technology. I love including different aspects of technology with my projects, and I've been in NFTs for about a year now. My Genesis on ETH I put out in December, so it's been about a year exactly, and I just love everything about it. The way that artists have a way to monetize their creative expression, the technology, and right now we're like in the age of innovators. So I think the next few years is going to get really, really wild, and I love to be a part of it.
Awesome. And then like how did you actually find about the NFT and blockchain space in the first place?
I've been in crypto since like 2014, and then around 2016 there was a couple platforms where creatives were able to monetize their work, and I met a couple artists. But then, the crash happened, like the crash of 2017, and everyone kind of disappeared. But a few of the artists that stuck around, they got into super rare, and they were telling me that I should try to like get into NFTs. But I like to learn before I jump into things. So I kind of just watched what they were doing, what X Copy was doing, all the early super rare people, and then I decided to jump in about a year ago. But I've kind of been just watching for about 2 years.
That's really interesting that you guys were minting NFTs before the bull run and then had a bear market and then you still stuck around with the space. Could you just talk a little bit more about what that experience was like, being part of that bear market and then just still being like still sticking around? Because right now we're in a bull market and a lot of people only have experience with a bull market. I'm just very curious, it's like what really got the community to stay around and like what that experience was like kind of still being a part of the industry when it seemed like things were not going the way that you guys wanted to at first.
Yeah, this was back in like 2016, 2017, and it wasn't NFTs back then, but there was a platform where musicians could share their music, and it was a way like if anyone had a certain amount of this coin and they gave your music an upvote, you would get a little bit of the coin. Like so likes were actually monetized. And in 2017 when everything ran up, me and a bunch of my friends, we were able to just put out a track daily and make like 50 to like $150, like just on sharing our music every day. But this was kind of the peak of the bull back then, and because like the whole space for musicians has always been kind of difficult. Like the old world music industry is more of like a lottery ticket rather than an opportunity. But now we found this one spot. It was called D Sound, and you were able to upload your tracks. It was hosted on IPFS. If anyone gave you an upvote, it was worth money. And all of a sudden, we're making decent amount of money off of our creative expression, and it was like, yeah, everyone was excited, everything was energized. But then the crash happened, and like I would say, 90% of them just disappeared. And the people that did stick around, they stuck around because they saw the potential of the technology. And it wasn't NFTs back then, it wasn't necessarily smart contracts. It was just a platform where you could share anything, whether it was music or art or words, and just the monetization was based on the upvotes. But then that platform, like a bunch of crazy stuff happened. There was like a hostile takeover, and then there was another music platform that they had like a pay per stream model, but then all of a sudden they just completely disappeared, and it was way more wild back then. But the people that did stick around, we had like a little Discord server, and we talked to each other. And then once NFTs came around, like my friend Julia Ponsford, she was on Super Rare, and she was doing really good. And another one of my friends, El Gecko, he was doing good. And then I decided to join. Super Rare never like approved me or anything, so I started on Rarible and OpenSea. But yeah, it's been a very interesting journey for sure.
It sounds like you've had a wild journey, and I totally resonate with you about this concept that music is almost like a lottery ticket, and kind of NFTs kind of opens the doors to new things. And you've experienced crypto before, like there even was an ERC 721 or ERC 1155 NFT standard, or just the concept of NFTs. So have you seen the technology evolve? And with that, I would love to have you talk a little bit more about your collection and how you structured it, just really based on the experiences that you've had.
Yeah, I always like to try to combine the tech with the aesthetics and the sound design. So with this collection, because you guys on MintGate, you guys do the token gated access. I wanted to have exclusivity for my collectors. So if you collect the NFT, as soon as you have it in your wallet, you get all the gated content. One of the things is a link to a download page where you could download the track, and it comes with a license, and you could use the track for your own projects. It's basically a commercial rights license. So you could use it for anything, monetize it, like whatever. On top of that, you get a link to download a PDF, and if you print out this PDF, it has a design where if you hold your phone up to it, it activates an augmented reality music video. So it's like a little music video you could walk around with. And then also there's you get access to the full album. Even if you just collect one of them, you get access to the full album to listen to it. So I wanted to use your platform, the token gated exclusivity aspect of it, but also include the AR music videos, the commercial license for the tracks, and then exclusivity to listen to the whole album. So it's like it's very exclusive. Like not anyone can just go hit play and listen to it. Like you have to own one of these NFTs.
And what I love about the structure is like you're combining a whole bunch of media assets. It's the commercial license, it's an AR print, it's a sound, it's all that encompassing experience where you're just being able to not create an NFT, not just with one unlockable content, but multiple unlockable content. So everyone, Soundwaves Photon is at soundwavesphoton.mintgate.io. You can buy his NFTs there, as well as yeah, you can buy his NFTs there. Check him out. Another question that I had about like, so you've had some sales already, which is great. And have you talked to your fans about the experiences now that they've been able to be part of, like as they're now owners of the NFTs? Like have they given you any feedback in terms of like this token gated content, or like how it's working out?
Yeah, every time someone collects from me, I do try to have a dialogue with them. Some collectors they just want to remain anonymous, or you can't even find them. But for this collection, for the most part, yeah, I got feedback from everyone. They kind of helped me like clean up the links a little bit and make sure it was easy for them to print out the PDFs for the AR music videos. And definitely that feedback definitely helped. And I love that on your platform you could kind of update it. You could add content, you could remove content. And I wanted to use as much as I could because you guys offer the PDF, the music, the video, and I just thought it's super cool. So I just want to provide as much value as possible. And I'm just happy that I came across your platform. And I remember I was asking you all these questions. Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do this? But it's worked out pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's really amazing that you kind of thought through like kind of like all of the feature set and kind of use all of it. Like you're kind of saying, like you can add multiple unlockable content even after minting, but also like there's a zone of value. You also deleting them as like burning like unlockable content, which is a really interesting concept that we wanted to dive into.
Yeah, and then anyone out there that's listening, if you want to go check out the tweet that I put up here or my pinned tweet, I made a little video where I kind of show off the AR music videos so you could see them in action. And yeah, the commercial rights too. Like it's cool that I could use Creative Commons and basically give people the ability to use the tracks for their own projects. There's been there's been one NFT that was made with my music, and we got a bid on that on known origin. So that's super cool. Just kind of giving like visual artists the opportunity to have a track that they could use commercially. Because then there's like cross promotion and a lot of visual artists they don't know where to get music. By just collecting this NFT, they have the rights. And I just love everything about the collaborative aspect of this whole space.
Yeah, can you and also then can you talk a little bit more about the collaborations that you've been able to do with other artists?
Yeah, definitely. There's a mother down there in the audience. We just did another collaboration that's on the Tezos blockchain, and that has a AR prints as well, but only one collector out of all the editions is going to get the prints. And the collaboration that I did with the guy that collected the NFT, he really liked this track. Like he just really liked it, and we talked about it, and he was like, "So if I collect it, I could use the track for this visual." And I was like, "Yeah." So then he used the track. It was like a kind of a sci-fi future city type of visual, and he put my music and he put it on known origin, and it got a bid like within a couple days. So it's just super cool. I want people to just use my tracks like as creatively as possible. I'm always excited by seeing other people's creative expression.
You mentioned like a really interesting concept there. Like someone can buy your NFT, gain the rights, and also like pretty much collaborate with you ultimately, right? Because they're buying the rights from you, and then can do anything like such you said, create another track or just think about like create another NFT. So almost like this kind of cycle of like collaboration. And like also like one thing that I was just thinking about now that you mentioned that is just thinking like how the blockchain can facilitate collaborations. Like one way is just through royalties, right? I'm not sure if you have kind of like thought about like royalty sharing in that aspect, but just like this concept, right? That you're buying an NFT, you can also like buy rights like to a song or to something, and then ultimately someone can just they can just take that content and utilize it. Very fascinating.
Yeah, I love the idea of sharing royalties too, because then anyone that owns the NFT, they're gonna be out there pushing it as well, right? So it's kind of like you're using the network effect to get more eyes on your work. And I just think, as far as revenue sharing, I think there's still like certain legal aspects. You got to make sure that, none of us want to go to jail or anything. But with these NFTs, if you collect it, it's a Creative Commons attribution license. So, like the project that used my music, they were down to do a split contract, and I think I got like 20%. But I'm not asking for anything. All you have to do is just say where the music came from. Like that's the bare minimum of the license. But you could use it for anything outside of NFTs too, like for YouTube videos, promo videos, anything, like anything. It's full commercial rights. You just have to let people know where the music came from. But yeah, royalties, especially like if musicians were to together, like a bass player, a guitar player, a singer across the globe, they were to make a song together, and if the royalties were to be split automatically in the contract, maybe like per stream or something, I think there's a lot of opportunity. It's just we need the people to build the things, you know? We're kind of in the age of innovators right now. There's no Spotify that we could all just go to. We got to build the Spotify killer, you know? But yeah, it's going to get very interesting.
Totally agree on that. It's going to be so interesting to kind of see. Like that's kind of I think like the space just needs more builders, and like a lot of like concepts haven't been actualized yet. Even like some of the ideas that you had mentioned, and you mentioned like music is like it's like a lottery ticket. And NFTs like aims to change that. Do you have like any other like use cases or any other ways that you've approached NFTs in music?
Yeah, I've done a lot of stuff with music. I like the exclusivity factor of it, where only a certain amount of people on Earth get to listen to this album or to this track, or they even get to use the individual instruments from the songs themselves for their music, for like remixes and stuff. And then also games too. Like this whole gamification thing, games need music. So if there was a way to bridge all the musicians that are out here with the game builders, that would be really interesting. And also filmmakers, they always need music. Right now, it's just about building the bridges. And I think me and a couple of my friends, we're gonna try. I'm sure there's a ton of people out there that have ideas that they want to build, but it's very exciting. And I just want to let any of the listeners, if they have any questions or if they want to talk about anything, they could come up as well. And if anyone's interested in getting the rights to the music, the AR cards that you could print like as soon as you collect it, they're only 0.039. I have the links in my tweet. And yeah, just I appreciate all of you.
Awesome. Yes, if you have any questions at any moment, please raise your hand and we'll love to add you on as a speaker. And as Soundwaves Photon had mentioned, go to Soundwaves photon.mintgate.io to see all of his NFTs and be able to purchase them only for 0.039 ETH and be able to experience all the unique experiences that Magickal Realism, the collection, can provide. And then, yeah, and I also wanted just to learn a little bit more about the collection as well. So you had mentioned all about the token gated content as well as at least from like wow, how you got into NFTs and how you're merging NFTs in music. Could you just talk a little bit more about what inspired you, at least the visual artwork, like what inspired you to create the visual artwork?
Oh yeah, definitely. I do a lot of psychedelics, and I really love nature. So a lot of my aesthetics come from those two aspects. And I also have this thing called synesthesia where I could kind of see the colors of sounds. So every time that I create a song that has depth in the sound design, when I'm done mixing and mastering, it kind of has a color palette. So all these songs, they're kind of all in the same key. All the songs have the same color palette. So the color palette that I kind of see in my mind's eye, that's the color palette of the collection. So it's the music tied together with the colors and the aesthetics. I really like. I love fractals. I love psychedelic aesthetics. I love the fractal nature of nature itself. So all those things are what I'm inspired by as far as the aesthetics and the sound design.
They look amazing, and they definitely have like this visual effect to them, and also in addition to like the music and the AR prints, I think they are a really great combo. I know that Payas had a question for you. Payas, if you want to unmute.
Hey, yeah, this is Pay Us No Mind. So yeah, I mean, I'm new, or relatively new to this space, and learning about the platform, and it's something I got to look into. I think I joined the call late, but uh, yeah, the thing that I kind of like think about with the crypto platforms is inclusivity as opposed to exclusivity, where it's like sometimes the cost can present a barrier and make it so where people want to make a better kind of like more equitable type of economic structure for artists, but sometimes the fans can become like fodder within that, where it's like we all kind of want to move away from being exploited by the tech companies and the record companies. But then at the same time, the fans somewhat get the blowback from that by being charged like really high prices for music, right? And to be able to listen to music and the value of music within society in regards to healing wise, in regards to helping people with the day-to-day coping mechanisms, things of that nature. I feel like it's just really important, and wouldn't want to have a society where music is just basically something for the rich. So, my question is more so like, how is it going to be facilitated, and what are the plans and the concepts behind kind of like maintaining, this structure where music is accessible to all and not just, those of a certain amount of means.
Yeah, yeah. I agree a lot with what you said. The cool thing is that there isn't any set way. People could still use Spotify. People could still use all the digital streaming services where they have songs that are available to, a mass audience. But the thing is with those platforms, the musicians themselves, they don't get anything. Like they get 0.003 cents per stream, right? Meanwhile, Spotify's $1 billion company selling ads. So it's not that we're building barriers, it's that we're trying to really discover what our creative expression truly is worth. My music, my artworks are priceless to me. But obviously I want to live off of this stuff, right? And it's not that I'm purposely trying to create barriers. I'm just trying to create value for a smaller set of people because I get what you're saying. Yeah, people just want to pay 9.99 a month, listen to whatever the fuck they want. For me, I don't want to make it easy. If you want to listen to my music, if you like what I do, if you like the technology aspects that I add to what I do, then it's going to be exclusive. You're going to be part of my tribe or whatever you want to call it. But I get what you're saying. But the cool thing is, no one has to do it with such exclusivity. You could still play around with the Spotify's. You could still put out tracks that have a lower cost of barrier, like on Tez blockchain or something. But just for me, I don't want it to be easy for people to just listen to pieces of my soul, if that makes sense.
Nah, I mean, I get it. I get it. My thing is just I look at it, just coming at it from just different angles, from being a music artist myself, and also a music fan, and also a music marketer, and just looking at all of these different aspects of the game and kind of like seeing, okay, well, what kind of like works for everybody, right? Because it's like a lot of times we like to talk about Spotify as if they're the only thing, but they're not the only thing. And they're not the only way for artists to kind of like make money. And a lot of times, my experience with artists is the fact that it ain't so much that there isn't anything else that artists can do to make a living. It's that a lot of artists restrict themselves to Spotify because it's like the easiest thing. It's like, well, I do digital distribution. I put my music on Spotify. I tell people to go there. Hopefully I get on a playlist and then I get streams. And then it's like, well, what did I get from those streams? Well, I didn't get a lot. But at the same time, there's Bandcamp, and you got artists making a lot of money on Bandcamp and pressing up vinyl and selling vinyl copies. And friends of mine that are selling cassettes and selling unique merch and different things like that. People selling paintings, different, a lot of stuff that is taking place within the NFT space was already taking place with artists like selling stuff directly on their website, selling stuff through Bandcamp. So even outside of NFTs, there was artists making a decent living just from coming up with things to buy. And NFTs, is more like I kind of view it anyway as like a more like a high end kind of product for the super wealthy or people with more means, right? Like it's almost like a Fendi bag or a Prada bag or something like that of entertainment or of brands or whatever, right? You come out with a higher product line for people who got more money to spend. My concern is just more so in the way of taking like the actual music, where it's like, here's my song, where usually people can listen and vibe with it and use it for whatever social impact is going to have, and locking that behind a paywall, where it's like now it's effectively it's a situation where music is for the rich, right? Art is for the rich. I mean, we've always kind of had that with like the art galleries and stuff like that, but even that structure we can kind of like look at and be like, oh, okay, it's like a gatekeeper type of situation where you have these super wealthy people with these fine arts galleries that pluck out individual people and say this person is worthy of making all of this money, and there's other artists that's just as good, but they can't get the approval of the gatekeepers, so they kind of like relegated to struggle or whatever. So yeah, man, I mean, I'm not saying that nobody can't jump out and charge whatever they feel like they want to charge for their music. Whatever you feel like your art is worth is whatever you feel like your art is worth, and whatever somebody want to pay you for it is whatever they
Oh
want to
yeah,
pay for
yeah.
it.
I hear what you're saying. I don't think it's an either or situation. I think um a musician themselves, they can they can build a whole ecosystem where they're on Spotify, they're on Bandcamp, they're selling merch. With NFTs, that's just it's not that there's gatekeepers. It's just that, like, I don't know if you know Nipsey Hussle. Like 10 years ago, he put out a very very exclusive album.
Yeah,
Only
I
a
remember.
only 1,000 people were able to get it, right? That doesn't mean all of his catalog wasn't accessible. It was just that, right? And that blew up. That blew up because people love that dude. They wanted a piece of that exclusivity. So it allows musicians to have the whole ecosystem. They could have the albums, the tracks that are available to everyone. But this track right here, like, yeah, the cool thing is that there is no middlemen. There's no middlemen. Like, the funds go directly to the musician. They could finally try to live off of their creative expression where it isn't a lottery ticket. They don't have to hit it big. They don't need mass exposure. They just need 100 people that really vibe with them, really want to be a part of their journey. So it's not that they're building barriers, they're building from the ground up the people that really, really, really want them to help, want the musician themselves to succeed without the middlemen. So it's not an either or thing. Like, you could build your whole ecosystem across all levels of access.
Yeah, and I'll just add real quick before Mother speaks. It's the Nipsey Hussle thing. He also allowed for people to have free access to that same release. You could get through a download. He was just charging you $100 if you wanted the physical. So if you wanted like the CD or the cassette or whatever, it was $100 for that. But the music itself, if you just wanted the music, you could still access it. So he wasn't
Yeah,
restricting people.
exactly. And like, also, Wu Tang messed around with the kind of the concept too with that one album. And I know that that Dickhead got it or whatever, but just it's about musicians themselves not needing to rely on any kind of middleman anymore. I think that's powerful. I think that levels a playing field across the board for everyone, for every musician to come in and build something out, whatever works for them.
I think it's important to remember that art is a luxury product, whether it's $5 or $500,000. It is a luxury product. even paying like $10 a month for Spotify, that is a luxury product. People in poverty aren't going to be paying for that. They have other priorities like, food and shelter. But the people who do want to indulge in that, whether that's middle class or super rich, are able to do that on different levels. Now, you did mention gatekeepers as well, but I don't feel like that is as applicable to this community, let alone to Soundwaves himself. He said that he has been, in the community for like 8 years, nearly a decade, working up from the bottom. Like nobody is gatekeeping who is able to make NFTs or who's able to get on MintGate or who's able to price their works at whatever it is. Everyone's learning from the same community, and everyone has to employ their own skills. And I mean, part of it is luck, part of it is, skill and all of that. But when you spend like almost a decade in it, you can kind of expect that he's gonna gain a lot of people who want to pay that for his artwork. That's just what I wanted to throw in there.
Appreciate it, definitely. I mean, I wasn't so much speaking of him as a gatekeeper as just like referencing a lot of what I see going on, because it's just a lot of that, not so much just him, but a lot of NFT stuff is, you apply and, in order to join our Discord, you have to own this token that costs thousands of dollars or own this NFT that costs thousands of dollars. So, I just see a lot of exclusion happening within the space that was supposed to be like almost like an equalizer. So, I mean, like I said, again, not saying that that's what he's doing,
Oh
and
no, absolutely. And there is a lot of that in this space. Sorry, MintGate, Jesus. But there is a lot of, that in this space. And that's really great about, like ETH versus like Tezos communities and all of that, is that I think there is a lot of communities that don't function that way. There's a lot of artists that I see, selling their stuff for super low because they want to see like the secondary market thriving. They want to see all of that stuff. So I think I think like just don't feed in obviously, like, your wallet has the biggest say or a biggest impact. Like don't feed into the stuff that you don't want to grow, and then make your own community where those things are it thrives off of being, accessible to everybody and has a secondary market and all of that stuff. I think that's just an opportunity to bring that in.
And then I also think too with Soundwaves Photon is that he's adding a lot more other content, not just the music. There's a lot more content. So I think like that adds this element to it that it's just not about like access to music, but there's really access to other parts of his artwork and also access to him in a way. And what's really great about Soundwaves Photon is he also has priced his NFTs a lot lower than some of these bigger projects, where you're having to pay thousands of dollars. You're paying Soundwaves Photon like 0.039, which is about 150 right now, right? And I'd love to kind of hear a little bit more about the thought process behind that, and maybe that can give a little bit a perspective on that, as well as I also know that you also do have some content that is available for free. So like a mix, right? Like a creator can have free content in addition to NFT content. And also there's other concepts that we've seen at MintGate is you can earn an NFT. If you're really involved with a creator or a community and you're help shilling them, promoting them, doing whatever it takes, you can earn an NFT. Like there are so many ways of structuring NFT collections that can make it more equitable for people. And I know that there are just many different ways of like handling that. So like they're just like the community. I totally agree. The community can really think about, how can they make token gate access more equitable? But also like token gate access can kind of just be seen as something like you can just earn in order to get access to better quality content.
I'll just throw in quickly before Soundwaves talks. That even for just like one stock photo or whatever, like getting the full creative license to also make money on the photo is like $200-$300 per each photo. If you look at normal sites, and he's giving all of that plus an NFT, which is sort of like a investment that you can flip if you want, or you can keep for a long time. I mean, Soundwaves is for sure going to the moon, so I wouldn't try to quick flip his shit. I'd hang on to that, sleep with it at night, tuck it under your pillow, nice and safe. Yeah, I'll just throw that in, but I'll talk less. Thanks for having me up.
Yeah, thank you, mother. And then yeah, like with these NFTs, it is around 150 USD right now. That might seem a lot, but once you collect it, you do get commercial rights to the music, so you could take the music and use it for your projects. There was a there was a project they took my track and they minted it on known origin and it sold for 0.12. So that person made his money back just doing that. And then also the AR prints. Anyone that collects these, you're going to be one of only 100 people max that are going to have a little card that you could have in your wallet that plays a full augmented reality music video. You know what I mean? That's kind of unheard of. So it's beyond just the music. It's the AR cards, it's the rights for the music. Anyone that collects it also, you could talk to me about setting up your own AR stuff. So I want to uplift everyone. I just use the exclusivity to create value rather than put up walls, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that makes like so much sense in terms of there's just like so much like types of value, and I really resonate with what Mother had mentioned as well is that you're getting so much out of these NFTs, and like again like there's like so many ways to structure them, and even just being Soundways, being here and present with everyone, I think is amazing. The fact that he's talking about his collection, willing to take these questions. I also know. Te Teuli, you also had a question for Soundwaves as well.
Yes, hello. Yeah, I just had a question regarding MintGate and if the platform enables sort of like artists to create sort of like a crowdfund. I heard you were talking about NFTs, but also like if it lets artists create a crowdfund with NFTs, let's say, and apart from the additional utilities to the holders or the contributors, if it also lets the artist sign like a contract where they give part of the royalties from the album or the music to the contributors. I just had that question for regarding the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Currently, you can create an NFT and then add like a sales goal, like a target goal by a certain date. And then if like you hit that sales goal, you could like and then like it will track like the sales goal. And then what you can do is once you like sell the NFTs, you can also like add token gated content later. So for example, you could create uh, like a video, like you can create like an NFT to crowdfund like a movie, and then add like a sales goal, and then like once like you've hit that sales goal, then you can add the movie as unlockable content. In terms of other features, such as just having that all on contract, we don't have that quite yet, but no, that is something that we're planning on.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you. Awesome. Mother, you also had a question as well?
I was just gonna say, creating that exclusivity like Soundwaves does, it's very important for the collectors that are investing in, in him as an artist, in his sort of brand, in the art piece, all of that. The listeners on YouTube and on Spotify and whatnot, even though they're supporting the music, they're not exactly like art collectors. It just doesn't equate. So it is important to, garner that sort of respect and value so you have a good relationship with the collectors that are helping you pursue it full time. And I think that's really good. And I think that Soundwaves really tries to embody that and have a close relationship with your collectors. What do you think, Soundwaves?
Yeah, it's about creating win-wins across the board. Win-wins for the musician, win-wins for the people that are invested in you. Just win-wins for the people that are part of your community, whether you help them with the technology itself or you introduce people to MintGate, the platform itself, or other blockchains or whatever. That the knowledge that can be shared, the network, the people that you meet, that's the real value. And we have a chance to uplift all of us together. A rising tide lifts all boats, whatever that cliche was. But it's true. If your friend wins, you could learn from him. If your friend loses, you could learn from the failures too. It's about the shared knowledge without having gatekeepers taking, like for with musicians, record companies, they don't care what music you make. They don't care about your community. They just want their chunk of the money. You know what I mean? Now we get to cut all of that out and we get to play around with the exclusivity, the value, the technology, and then, the royalties over time. It's just more power in the hands of the individual. And that's the best way to start uplifting people from the ground up rather than relying on these corporations that don't care about any of us. They just want their money. You know what I mean? Now we have an opportunity to build our communities. We don't need mass exposure. We just need 100 people that really, really, really dig what we do. They believe in us. Then you have a chance to live off of that. And that's freedom.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like the concept of freedom, for a creator, and the concept of being able to be on a platform where you feel free. And I know that you mentioned Soundwaves. You mentioned that you were on Super Rare, you're on Rarible, OpenSea, now you're on MintGate. Tell me a little bit more about how you decided on the platform, because I think that's interesting, right? Like to like you're ditching like the I concept of Spotify, another platform, for another platform. I would love to like kind of hear your thought about that.
Yeah, I put out one track on Spotify and I looked into the numbers and I looked into how Spotify just takes advantage of everyone. I have some stuff on Bandcamp as well, and Bandcamp's a lot cooler. And for musicians, yeah, it's like never it's in the past, it's never been about the music itself. It's been about the merch that they sell at shows. It's been about all the externalities that the music kind of builds out to. But the music, like listeners have kind of been spoiled where it's like I just want to pay 9.99 a month and I want to listen to whatever I want whenever I want. And that's kind of created a really skewed kind of connection between the musician and the listener. But now the musicians have a little bit more power because we put our heart and souls into our creation. You know what I mean? It's priceless. But now we have the opportunity to cut out the middlemen, make a living off of our creative expression, build 100 to 1,000 true fans that you're able to have that freedom, because it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's about the freedom, being able to live off of your creative expression. And I think NFTs, the transparency, the royalties over time, the exclusivity, that's a way better model for musicians and artists, filmmakers as well. That's going to be the future because now we don't have to rely on, that lottery ticket. We don't have to rely on having to hit it big so we could start to live off of it. Now we only need 100 people that really, really dig what you do. And as far as the platforms, I like Rarible because, I mean, it's open to everyone. OpenSea is open to everyone. I'm actually not on Super Rare, like all the curated platforms. They've denied me repeatedly, but that's fine. You know, I don't need them. I don't need any gatekeepers. And when I found about MintGate and how you guys do the token gated stuff, I really liked it, and I wanted to just put out this collection on there.
Amazing. Like super happy that you trusted us to kind of with your collection. And like especially with like the token like token gated collection. I guess what's the next steps for you? Like what's kind of the next thing that no we should be looking out for this collection or another collection?
Yeah, for this collection, I am gonna burn whatever's left on December 31st. I want to burn everything that I have available by December 31st, just so I can start the new year fresh. Because next year is gonna be wild. I'm building certain projects where I'm gonna try to start onboarding the sciences. I'm gonna. I have a couple friends where we're gonna try to build a music platform that makes it equitable all the way down to the individual bass player. If you're a bass player and you got a sick bass line, you'll be able to put that out, and producers will be able to collect it and use it in their remixes. And all the royalties will be automatic, long term. Anytime there's a stream, we want to pay a little bit better than Spotify. So I got big plans. I got the team to execute it. I kind of got the fearlessness to. I'm not afraid of failure. I don't care if I fail 100 times. Like I'm kind of fearless in that way. So I'm gonna do really big things. I don't have hope. All I have is my actions, and I know that I have the people, the smarts, the network to really start to create that equitable kind of way for anyone across the planet to start to get the true value of their works. Like that's what I really love. That's why I love the technology. So yeah, if you guys want to collect one of these, like you got until December 31st.
Get them for Christmas, guys. You can go to soundwavesphoton.mintgate.io to collect these NFTs. And yeah, and like also Soundwaves, if you want to just give just like an overview of the collection, Magickal Realism as well. I think we have a couple of new faces here.
Yeah, it's 10 tracks. It's like a little mini album. It's 10 NFTs, 10 editions each. And if you collect one, they're only 0.039. If you collect one, you get to download the track and use it commercially. Um, you also get a PDF that you could print right there on the spot. This PDF has a design that you could point your phone to, and it's an augmented reality music video. So it's kind of funny because I was thinking like, okay, yeah, NFTs, we got NFTs in our crypto wallets, but I wanted people to have like an NFT in their physical wallet. So these PDF that they could print out, the designs are the size of a business card. So you could have a little augmented reality music video in your physical wallet. You know, walk around with the music video and stuff. So it's 10 tracks. If you collect one, you get the rights to the music. You get the AR cards. And then once they sell out or once they're all burned, I'm gonna have audio reactive holograms too. But that's gonna be a surprise.
Oh wow, a surprise! Like continuously adding token gated content to NFTs. Is that what you're hinting at?
Yeah, once they're all burnt and once they're all collected, I'm gonna add a video and I'm gonna send people a little setup where they could use like their old phones. I know we all got old phones. You're just sitting there in our drawers. You'll be able to use your old phones with this setup. I want to include like a wireless charger thing, and it's like just this little setup to have an audio reactive hologram display at your home. And once they're all sold out, I'm gonna do the token gated video for that too, and ship out the setup for the holograms. But yeah, that'll happen on January 1st.
Awesome. And then so that means with Soundwaves, Photons, NFTs, every day is like Christmas. You buy it and you get token gated content. And then like once you buy it later, and then later you also get access like to more content. So that's actually really amazing. Again,
Yeah, and that's what I love
everyone.
about your platform too, because you could update the content. You could remove content or you could add new content whenever you want. That's what I really, really liked about your platform.
So yeah, thank you so much. I just wanted to just give the opportunity for anyone who had any more questions for Soundwaves Photon about his collection or anything that he has mentioned thus far. You can raise your hand, and then I can bring you up as a speaker.
Yeah, anyone that wants to come up. And then also, if you collect one of these and you want to set up your own augmented reality music videos, I'll help you. If you want to set up your own holograms, I'll help you. I want to lift up everyone across the space.
Yeah, and that's like the really amazing part about this space is just like the amount of inclusivity, and also just you own an NFT, you're really part of a community. In this case, like not only do you have a commercial license and the AR print, but you're also just having access to Soundwaves himself, and he'll teach you everything from augmented reality to creating any piece with like in AR as well. Mother, did you have a question?
Yeah, I'd be really interested in hearing Soundwaves talk more about magical realism and what that means to him, and because I know that really obviously inspired you to make the collection Magical Realism, and that has a deeper meaning than just spelled cool word. if you're willing.
Yeah, magical realism is kind of like a philosophical framework, kind of born out of Latin American cultures, where like the Europeans they had existentialism, and it's kind of just a way to deal with the suffering of life itself. And with magical realism, it's about kind of accepting that suffering is a part of life, but that it doesn't have to destroy you. You still have family, you still have friends. So despite the suffering, you can still choose to live a magical life. And I feel once you choose that, then your life becomes magical. Whether it's the connections you make or the random things that happen to you. It's all about perspective. Magical realism is just it's a shift in framework of perspective where you kind of accept the suffering because that's not going to go anywhere, right? Pain's not going to go anywhere. But you always have the choice as far as how you react or what you value. And it's just about not letting the suffering kind of beat you down.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for the explanation behind the collection. I've been so inspired, but it's like first just by the utility that you're bringing to NFTs, but also like inspired what has inspired you. Also, I think HB Love Bucks also has a question on, I believe, on what inspires you or whatever question you have. Go for it.
What's going on, HP? What's up, man?
Yeah, I can just chime in really quickly. I really want to amplify and echo a lot of the values that Dr. Soundwave is putting forth. And simple moves we make today can have big consequences tomorrow. But I also want to put in a word of caution that, we can do this. We can set up these contracts, royalties, make sure that we the people are getting paid rather than we, the corporations, funneling it out of our pockets. But it won't come without a fight. So I do think right now we can make moves and build a foundation for this sort of sideways ecosystem where we enrich one another rather than sending our wealth up to the top floor office of the CEO. But I think people got to be prepared to fight. That you build it today, but you got to maintain it and maintain it through hard times, maintain it through overwhelming odds. I believe in the direction and the technique that Dr. Soundwaves is bringing, but I just want to further remind everyone that it won't come without a cost. The corporations would love to put a straw right down into your situation and just slurp it right back up. So do these things, but be prepared to defend it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and HP, outside of doing visual artwork for NFTs, you work in the music industry outside of this, right? Kind of.
Yes, I do, and I've got a bit of experience there, and the amount of royalties a successful top 40 artist makes on their music is pitiful. So when we were talking about it, like what he was saying, you need 100 people. It's kind of true. I mean, if you have 1,000 people that believe in you, 2,000 people that believe in you, 4,000 people that believe in you, you can change the world in incredible ways, because the royalties that NFT provide and the kind of sideways prosperity that they enable means 1,000 people in agreement can do big things, where one person who's at the top of the charts, their power is minimal. You know, they are following orders. They're told what songs to sing, how to dress, where to be, where they're going to be 2 weeks from now. They are in a position of disempowerment. And then when they look on the bottom line, wait, they're only getting 4.4% of all this. So I just think that a lot of the things that Dr. Soundwaves is putting forward, they really can be actionable. They really can be real. But it's not going to come without dedicated effort against resistance that will come from above, you know? Because they like it the way they have it now. They don't want to give up control. That's all my point I'm saying.
Hey folks, this is Jonathan. HP, great to hear your feedback here. Soundwaves, great to talk to you again, man. I am one of those CEOs, executive folks here in our organization MintGate. And I've thought a lot about business structure. I've been doing programming since I was 13. I've worked in just about every software industry that exists today. I've worked in government, I've worked in financial software, I've worked in machine learning, I've worked at Adobe, I've done contracting work for Google, I've worked with Intel. And
Jonathan,
one thing
stop saying you're old.
I'm not old, but I have been around. That's my point is. And I can say that one of the things I've seen time and time again is the lack of having an equitable structure to organizations is what keeps them actually held back. That I think in a lot of ways organizations actually stymie themselves because they are unable to think as a collective. To think themselves as the sum of their parts, as opposed to its own thing, their own entity. And I think everything that Soundwaves, the values you bring, the believing in magical realism. I think these are all really exciting virtues in a world in which we all, what we're really saying is all of us and all of our perspectives, all of our words, thoughts, and ideas are important. And together we build that magical realism, that together we can work with each other's ideas, views, and dreams to realize a better world. And that I resonate with.
Yeah, 100%. Like HP said, if you only have 200 highly engaged people with shared goals and shared values, you could do a lot. And for musicians and artists in the past, you have to hope that luck plays a big part of it, and you hit that mass exposure, and then you could kind of start to maybe live off of it, maybe realize your goals and plans of actions or anything like that. But with this technology, it levels the playing field for everyone. You only really need, back in the day it was Kevin Kelly's 1,000 true fans, but that was like kind of an e-commerce type thing. With NFTs, you only really need 100 to 200 people that really believe in you, have shared values, and you really can make a huge huge impact. That really excites me.
Can I jump in with one more speculative idea?
Yeah.
You know, there's an absolute musician, a monster, a towering giant of music in the 20th century who's affected music globally, and his name was James Jamerson. He played bass in the Motown recording studio. So he played bass on all the Temptations, Smokey Robinson, Four Tops, Stevie Wonder, you know, you name it, Gladys Knight and the Pips. And he was just a visionary on the bass, like a J.S. Bach of counterpoint compared to the pop song above it. If you take any of those Motown records and mute all the other parts and just dig into the bass, it's a work of genius being described every time he sat down on the instrument. But he came from a poor background. He was just paid by the session. His music went on to influence generations and generations and generations. Now we look at him as like literally almost a J.S. Bach of pop music. But imagine if NFTs were in existence. Imagine if he had 0.001 because he played bass on every one of those Motown records. And now multiply that by the number of times those records were played in jukeboxes, played on the radio, played in oldies stations, played at weddings. Do you know what I mean? That the ability of the royalty to find its way back to that first creator, that's never existed before in a way that it could exist in the next sort of evolution of Web3. So I just think that's another way that the session musician, the guy who played, this incredible drum part, that song comes a breakout hit and he's forgotten, or that song becomes a breakout hit and his family can eat. I just think that somehow those backup players, those session players, could be put into the contracts, and if the song becomes a monster hit, they're not forgotten. Anyway, that's just a speculation. I'm not a person who knows how to write contract law or anything, but it's just a way that I see the music industry in the future could be different. That's all.
I would like to chime in. I mean, I think that kind of like speaks to, I think, what was it, Jonathan, that was talking about, where he was saying, it's going to be a fight, because it's like on the business end, corporations make a lot of money from people not making the money that they're owed. Basically, the confusion with licensing and stuff like that, because already he's owed money. It's just that musicians tend to not be on top of the paperwork and registering for things, so these companies get away with that. So it's like it's a platform called or a company that they formulated by the government, the Mechanical Licensing Collective, where they were supposed to collect all of the unpaid royalties that was owed to all of these writers that record companies and the streaming platforms claimed they couldn't find. And they were supposed to be the ones that these bass players and everybody else that owned that would do these royalties would go and register with to get their money. But what happened was the same corporations that was squeezing them for the money and kind of robbing them got put in control of that too. So they got put in control of doling out the unpaid royalties for all of the artists that didn't get it. And they make it more difficult for people to register. A lot of people don't even know it exists. So they have $1 billion in unclaimed royalties, and those that $1 billion in unclaimed royalties, if it doesn't get claimed within 3 years by the rightful owners, it gets split between all of the top publishers and songwriters. So all of the songwriters and publishers that make millions of dollars a year get to split that $1 billion and unpaid royalties that's due to the guy like that bass player if they don't claim it. And that's basically the way that it works through and through. It works like that with the Mechanical Licensing Collective. It works like that with ASCAP and BMI and all of these different companies that are empowered to collect on behalf of artists. So it's like the money's there. It's not that the money's not there. It's not that the structure isn't there for those people to have that money collected on their behalf. It's the fact that they get stuck to the gum under the table and people don't want to pay them, and they don't want clarity, and they don't want fairness. And in order for us to change it, it's going to be a fight, because you got to basically get their hooks out of everything. Because unless they play ball, and if they don't adopt NFTs and they don't adopt smart contracts and stuff like that, then there's no way to get that money. Because the radio stations and the music venues and the jukeboxes, they all have to pay ASCAP. They all have to pay Harry Fox Agency. Those are the places that they have to pay by law. So that's where the money's going to. So if they don't play ball and they don't get on board then everything will still be mucked up, and the people who should be getting paid but don't, it'll stay the same.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, the infrastructure, the mechanics, they are there, but what's also there is you have to trust these corporations, right? With this technology, a big part of the ethos is trustlessness because it's all automated, it's all in the contract itself. The royalties are paid out automated. That level of trustlessness, that's a big piece of the pie, that's a big piece of the puzzle. You don't have to trust a corporation to pay you out. It's in your smart contract. The royalties are automated. So like that's another big aspect about the technology that I love, the trustlessness.
Awesome. Really like resonate with that, like that concept of trustlessness and just be able to kind of have that independence and freedom as well. Soundways, like you have like showed that to us. Again, everyone, his collection is at Soundwaves, Photon.mintgate.io. There are 10 different NFTs. You can collect them each with 0.039 ETH. Or about 150 USD at the moment, but you get a whole bunch of stuff. You can download the commercial license. You can hear the audio as well. You can also get the AR video. So please check out the collection for sure. Soundways, I know that we are now towards time already. Is there anything anything else that any questions that anyone has, or any last words before we wrap it up?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I love your platform. I hope everyone that heard about it on this space goes and checks it out because you guys are doing really cool things. And thank you to all the people that came up and talked. It's always good to talk about the issues with the music industry, how to make it better, because that feedback, that growing, it's gonna come from all of us. No man's an island. So HP, Mother, um, Pay Use. I don't know if I said that, Pay, but yeah, thank you for talking, everyone. And yeah, if you want to go collect the NFT, like she said, you get the rights, you get the AR print, you get the hologram eventually, and I'll be able to add stuff to this NFT forever, and I will. So consider collecting it. I'm gonna burn them all on the 31st. Just thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
I want to just say that everything that Pays You No Mind said was so on point, and 100%. They want you to pay your BMI dues because if you don't give us your dues, you don't get paid. But we can set up a new system, a sideways system, where we don't need to pay their dues. We can say no thanks, we got it. Let our contracts do their thing. But and now the last thing I want to say is that
I will walk away without you answering.
Another thing you could say is that people will spend on Ethereum this amount of money to get a Juicebox Draft PFP. But if you look at what Soundwaves is asking and the utility he's giving, there's a lot of value there, much more than many of these PFPs will ever give you. So anyway, I'm bullish on Soundwave. That's my bottom line.
Wow, so many people bullish on you, Soundwaves. Mother HP, thank you so much, and Pay us like great insight. And I think that we also were able to give you like kind of different perspectives on like different perspectives, like how we are approaching NFTs as well. As well as thank you everyone so much for joining on the call. We will have a recording of this Twitter space like available on our YouTube, as well as again, go to Soundwaves, Photon.mintgate.io. Even if you can't collect at the moment, still feel free to reach out to Soundwaves, anything related to holograms, AR, anything about music and NFTs, as well as just also make sure that you tweet out his profile on MintGate as well, so we get more eyes on his amazing Magickal Realism collection.
Yeah, thank you all so much. Check out my pin tweet. You can see the AR cards in action, and there's a link to go to hit up the MintGate site, and Yeah, just thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Soundwaves, for the opportunity to speak to us. It's been a really awesome conversation thus far. But thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
And then, Mother, did you have anything else to say, Mother?
Oh no, it was really interesting, hearing you talk more about your artwork. I know we're in a lot of spaces. We like to hang around and joke around and all that. But I really do enjoy, especially, when you speak about your work and you open up and talk about like the philosophy and what inspires you to do your art. I think it's really awesome. It's good. It's good shit. Makes joking around with you even better.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Thanks so much for taking Friday afternoon with us. Please, again, go to Soundwaves, photon.mintgate.io, and we'll speak to everyone very soon.